Hey, buddy, watch this.
Hello, Regis Kilbit is the name, and Hearthstone is the game, and this is the announcement video for the brand new expansion, Journey to Unguro, which will be hitting in about a month's time. So I wanted to go ahead and watch this video live with you guys so you can sort of see my reactions to this reveal, and we can experience all the fun new stuff that's going to be coming out together. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and jump into this rather short announcement video and see what's in store for the future of Hearthstone.
Oh. Well met. My name is Ben Brode.
And I'm Jason Chase. Thanks to all of you for joining us here tonight. Ben, we're finding ourselves in strange surroundings.
This is a different locale than I'm used to.
It is, and we're both in our flannel.
That's only odd for one of us.
And this is for a very special occasion. We have something that we just unearthed that we'd like to share with you right now.
Okay, wait. Before I get into this, that dude on the right, I don't know who he is, but super goofy. I love the cheesiness here. A little bit of cringe, but still fun. It's hard to hate Ben Brode sometimes. He's just so full of life, and you gotta love those laughs. But it looks like we're about to hit a trailer, so I don't want to hold this up too much. New cards.
We're almost there. Quiet down, everyone. This is not like any of our previous expeditions. This will be far more ambitious. We're stepping into a land of primordial wonder. Infused with astonishing elemental energies. The plant life here holds very unusual properties. So don't touch anything.
That dude's dead. They literally just melted that dude. That's actually kind of sad. He was pretty cute.
And while you may be excited to see the local fauna, you might want to make sure they don't see you. Because their powers of adaptation are devastating. Make no mistake, we will be tested at every turn. But if we stay on our guard, we might just survive. Now then, are you ready? Then let's journey into
That dude in the lower right hand
crater.
corner did not look ready for this.
Oh my gosh, Chase!
That was incredible.
Hearthstone's newest expansion is Journey to Unguro.
In other words, Hearthstone meets Jurassic Park, which is basically everything I love about the world, all rolled up into one. So nice.
Unguro, as it turns out, is a pretty amazing place. It's a place of wonders, but also a place of great danger.
Nobody told me that before I came out here.
Oh, you got your axe.
I do have my axe.
You're prepared. So, as all of you come to join us in Unguro, one of the things you can expect to see is dangerous plant life shooting quills at you. Amazing sort of elemental powers. And in fact, you'll see a volcano at the very heart of Unguro. So let's show you one of our very first cards from Journey to Unguro, the Volcano spell.
Volcano is a shaman spell. It deals 15 damage. One at a time. The effect is incredible as it showers down meteors upon your opponent.
And volcanoes don't discriminate. They can hit your minions, they can hit your opponent's minions. You want to be sure you're playing Volcano when you want to do maximum damage across the whole board.
There's all kinds of elemental shenanigans happening in Unguro Crater.
Okay, so Volcano, first new card. Awesome, cool. Glad to see new cards already. I don't know how many we're going to get, but it was 5 mana, overload 2, deal 15 damage to minions randomly. So ultimately, you know, I'm going to have to think about it a little more, but on first glance, it doesn't feel like that's that good of a card, although I have to say the animation was fantastic, but it hit your own minions, it looked like, so a little bit risky if you're in a more board-based shaman deck, which most shamans historically have been. So I don't know how much sense that's going to make. It's basically the same cost as something like Flame Strike, but it feels like it could be a little bit less effective because it's random. Although, of course, it's more flexible because if there was a 15 health minion out there, you could guarantee that you'd kill it. So, who knows? Maybe sort of a pseudo AoE removal / single target hard removal spell. That flexibility could be valuable. Who's to say? But let's go ahead and jump right back in.
Now, I know what you're thinking. You may think, I've already seen elementals. I've seen my fire elementals, my rock elementals, but these are different. You might see, for example, a giant tar elemental erupt out of a pit in front of you.
Or the new mage legendary minion, Pyros. Pyros is a 2-mana 2/2 to begin with. When it dies, it comes back to your hand as a 6-mana 6/6. And if you play it again and it dies again, it'll come back as a 10-mana 10/10.
So it's almost like it keeps resurrecting over and over again.
It's a lot like that. Elementals is a brand new minion type in Journey to Ungoro. You'll see many different types of elementals, and we're gonna change some of the minions from sets you already have seen to become elementals.
Okay, so before we get into all that, that was a lot at once, but Pyros, new card, I think it said 2-mana 2/2 with a Death Rattle, add this back to your hand, and then it becomes a 6-mana 6/6 with a Death Rattle, add this back to your hand, and then finally, I guess it climaxes in a 10/10 for 10 without a Death Rattle, so that's the final form. So basically, get 3 cards in 1 card slot, which is always nice because that helps extend the length of your deck. But I have to say, they all felt a little bit just vanilla and not all that impactful. A 2-mana 2/2 is not exciting. 6-mana 6/6 is not exciting. And the Death Rattle effect is not something that impacts the board. And in fact, it just gives you a card that costs additional mana. So a very, very slow card. It takes a long time to see any value out of that. And even at the end, a 10-mana 10/10 is not like a great card. That doesn't impact the board either. So it'd have to be a very grindy style of deck that focuses very heavily on resources lasting throughout the course of a game and essentially grinding out your opponent and just dealing with all the removal and still having minions and still having bodies and still having cards to play. So forcing that sort of resource withdrawal from your opponent while extending the length of your own deck. But that doesn't feel very good to me in this meta, and frankly any meta. It's just really, really slow. I mean, it might have some additional applications with Death Rattle decks where you Nazoth out both the 2/2 and the 6/6. And you just continue piling in cards to your hand, which is, again, nice, but very, very, very slow. And typically Nazoth is more of a game-ending kind of play. So I don't even know if that synergy makes a lot of sense. There may be future Death Rattle synergy cards, of course, that come out with Ungoro, so who's to say what it would look like. But on a surface level, that feels like a pretty weak legendary to me, fitting a very strange type of deck. I don't even know if it fits Reno Mage as we understand it today, just because it's so, so slow. But interesting nonetheless. And the elemental tag, that's another cool thing. It was an elemental, I guess, and it sounds like we're going to have some elemental synergies. Who knows what that's going to look like, but it's nice that they're retroactively going back and hitting all the old elementals. I think as a keyword, as a tag, that's going to benefit Shaman more than anybody else. They have a ton of elementals, as you might expect from the class lore, namely Alakir, Neptulon as legendaries, but all the little 4 and 6 mana elementals they have too. So it sounds like Shaman's going to have a lot to utilize with elementals in the future.
So as it turns out, elementals is just the beginning of the creatures that wait for you in Ungoro Crater. What would Ungoro and a primordial world like this be like without the dinosaurs?
Dinosaurs are everywhere in Ungoro Crater, but they've soaked up a lot of the primal energy in Ungoro Crater, and they've begun to adapt.
Imagine a dinosaur that has now picked up the power of the elements around it for even greater effect.
Check out this new card, Verdant Longneck.
So adapt is the new keyword coming out with the Journey to Ungoro. With adapt, you'll be given the choice to pick from one of 3 different powers to upgrade your minion.
Yeah, you never know what adaptations will be available to you, but you might see something like Flaming Claws, which gives a dinosaur +3 attack.
Or if you're imagining your Verdant Longneck wasn't big enough, imagine if it was upgraded with the massive adaptation, giving it the ability to taunt.
Or Lightning Speed, giving it Wind Fury.
So there'll be dinosaurs galore waiting for you in Ungoro, on top of the elementals and on top of the very dangerous flora. You might...
Okay, wait a second before they go on. So I already forgot the name of the card. Verdant Longneck, I think. 5 mana, 5/4. So a little bit understated base body, but it had a Battlecry Adapt, and that was a Druid card, it looked like. And we saw 6 adaptations there. I said there were 10 total possible ones if you looked on the bottom of the screen. So I'm not sure which ones we were missing. But it was +3 attack, Divine Shield, Taunt was one of them, which sounds generally pretty terrible. There was a Death Rattle, Summon 2/1/1 plants, Wind Fury. One was the can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. So really interesting, actually. I like, and it sounded like it's going to be a Discover style effect where you get 3 random out of the pool of 10, and then you pick the one that you want. So you adapt to your board state, you adapt to your opponent, which is really cool. I like mechanics like that a ton because they allow you to influence the game more than just random effects. So it gives you a level of control. So, for instance, if you're playing an opponent who you expect to have a Jade Lightning that's going to do 4 damage to your minion, you can do the Divine Shield, or you can do the can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. And suddenly that minion is much more valuable. And if they have a 1/1 minion on the board, you won't want to use the Divine Shield because you know they can just ping off that Divine Shield. So you might go with the can't be targeted one instead of the Divine Shield. And that finite level of control is really nice because it just gives you the ability to influence a game via good decision making and skill. So that's pretty cool. That said, some of them, like Taunt, is generally going to be pretty bad just because it doesn't actually do anything extra necessarily, unless you need a Taunt to survive somehow or to force a bad trade. Then Taunt can be good, but it seems like it'd be the least desirable. Divine Shield's probably going to be the best one on average because that can sometimes theoretically double the stats of your minion and just do a lot of cool stuff. Wind Fury could be good too, though. Like if you know your opponent just doesn't have a way to kill it and you want it to be able to go face for 10. So that's pretty cool. The Death Rattle one's always going to be a safe bet too, just because it gives you extra stats, which is nice, and has some Death Rattle synergies, of course. So I'm curious to see what the other 4 options are that we didn't see. Man, who knows what they could be? I'm trying to think of other things that are obvious, but nothing is really coming to mind. But anyway, it's going to be fun to see more of those style of cards. It sounds like all the dinosaurs, perhaps, the way they framed that, are going to have some ability to adapt, which will be cool. I think that was a beast, too.
Why would I go to Angora with all these dangers waiting for me?
I've been asking myself that all night, but I think I know why.
Why don't you tell us?
There are secrets hidden in Ungoro Crater, and in fact, Elise Starseeker and her junior explorers are out in Ungoro Crater tracking them down.
Okay, just a second. Some people say I look like Ben Brode. I've heard this before. I think it's the glasses, the general average white guyness, the hair maybe a little bit. But come on, my beard is like 10 times better than Ben Brode's beard. I don't want to hear it. It's much thicker and fuller. Particularly on the sides, you can see his is very thin and kind of dainty, and you can see through his beard to his shirt. That's just a thin beard. Give me some more credit than that, guys. I have a nicer beard than Ben Brode. Let's all just admit that, but carrying on.
Right now.
In fact, there's only one reason I can think of why they might be out on this adventure, and that's they're pursuing a quest.
Ooh.
There's a brand new type of card in Journey to Ungoro, and that is the Quest card.
This was spoiled on Reddit, so I kind of know what's going on here. It's yesterday.
Why don't we take a look at the first quest card, Awaken the Makers.
Oh, legendary spell, it looks like. I don't know if quests will be their own classification, but that's the spell card form, square picture instead of a circle. And it actually has a dragon on the top, which looks terrible, but it looks terrible on legendary minions as well, so that's no surprise. But a legendary spell, apparently quests, seemingly are going to be legendaries. But let's let them talk
Make no
about it.
mistake, quests are incredibly difficult to complete. Imagine having to summon 7 different Death Rattle minions in the one game.
He said summon 7 different Death Rattle minions. But the card doesn't say that. I think that was probably just a slip of the tongue. I think you could probably summon 2 Mistress of Mixtures, and that would still count. So that might be an interesting Reno synergy if that is the case. But I think since the card doesn't say it, I think it's probably just wrong.
Quests cost 1 mana. They start in your opening hand,
Ooh.
and when you play them, you'll see them appear where your secrets normally appear.
But these are a little different than normal secrets in that your opponent will be able to see the quest as well. And that's because the treasures and potential things waiting for you at the end of the quest are so powerful that it's something that your opponent will have visibility into as well.
When you complete the quest, you get an incredible reward. Check out Amara, Warden of Hope. Set your hero to 40 health. This card is crazy.
Yeah, this was the one that was actually spoiled on Reddit. That is crazy. A 5 mana 8/8 is nuts. It has taunt, which is nuts. A super defensive body. And the battle cry, set your hero's health to 40. So that's nuts, right? Because if you're 2 health, it's a mega Reno. It's a full heal plus 10. It makes burst damage even harder to do anything. So like burst combos with say like Malagos or whatever would have even more trouble getting through 40 health as opposed to 30. So it's sort of like armor in a way, since it allows you to go above 30. That's just absolutely crazy. And the condition, you have to summon 7 Death Rattle minions to accomplish this. Probably not something that generally happens by turn 5, but it really could, if you think about it. Particularly because they said quests are going to always be in your opening hand. I don't know if that means the mulligan or if they just pop in, kind of like Patches or something. Patches doesn't pop into your opening hand, although it certainly feels like that sometimes if you play him a lot. So I'm not sure how exactly that works, but I guess that means you can always start the quest on turn 1. So if you did have a lot of low curve Death Rattle minions, perhaps you could pretty regularly play this by turn 5 or 6. I mean, we saw right there, I think Mistress of Mixtures played alongside a couple other guys, but a couple Mistress of Mixtures, a couple 2 or 3 Death Rattle minions, and getting to 7 might not be that difficult. And you don't have to like draw into this like you do Reno. Reno, you gotta also hope that you draw into it by turn 6, let alone build your deck around it. This, you have to build your deck around it. But as long as you do, it sounds like it's an absolutely guaranteed outcome, because you get the quest to start, so you know it's going to be there, and if you just build consistently enough with early Death Rattle minions, cheap Death Rattles, by the mid-game, this will be added to your hand via completing the quest, and you'll be able to play it if you have that spare mana. So, in that case, it seems like a just ultimate shutdown of face-style decks. And if the condition's easy enough to be met, the quest is possible to be completed in time, this does indeed seem like sort of a super Reno Jackson, but only available to Priest. So who knows what the other classes' quests, assuming they get them, actually look like.
So quests will give you access to some of the most powerful cards Hearthstone has ever seen if you can complete them.
Journey to Ungoro has 135 exciting new cards, and we're going to continue to show more of them starting on March 17th.
Ooh, and don't forget, the Journey to Ungoro will also kick off the next standard year for Hearthstone as we begin the Year of the Mammoth. We're in the final preparations now, and we're excited to join all of you when the Journey to Ungoro launches in early April.
Okay.
Did you hear something?
I didn't.
Oh my God!
Alright guys, so that's going to wrap it up for me and this reveal and reaction. New expansions in Hearthstone are always fun, always fantastic, like my favorite time. That a couple weeks beforehand and the first few weeks after an expansion are amazing. We saw a few pretty cool cards too, so it's going to be fun. It sounds like a lot is changing, not only in the standard format rotation, dropping some old expansions, but it sounds like they're getting pretty adventurous with how they're designing these cards. Already a couple new keywords, and they've been a little bit resistant to introduce new keywords, so that might be fun. That might be really cool to see. So between quests and adaptations and just crazy board impacting cards like Volcano, it sounds like Journey to Ungoro is going to be pretty darn cool. So, if you have any thoughts or comments on this announcement or the expansion or the cards we saw, I'd be happy to hear what you guys have to say in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, game on.